build the perfect planner system to help keep me engaged and consistent with my planner. Today, I'm going to take you guys through my method and show you how you can build your ideal planner system and be happy in your book and be closer to planner peace. So let's get started. If you were like most people, you probably got a planner in hopes to be more productive, organized, and/or creative. But when you opened it up to actually start, you may have had that feeling of like, oh crap, where do I even begin?
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
To get closer to a planner system that works for us, we need to differentiate our needs in our book. And this step is going to be key. So you can follow along and plan with me. I also have a free template in my description box with this exercise if you want to print it out and use it. But I like to call this the Pie 5 method, partially because I just love food, but mainly because we use planners for specific functions, and this method is going to help you find yours. To make this pie, we need to first gather our ingredients. So in this case, we're going to look at the 5 main ingredients needed when building a functional planner routine. Those 5 ingredients are going to be scheduling and time management. So think of this as your daily, monthly, weekly schedules. This could be appointments, allocating tasks, events, reminders, deadlines, and important dates. Next is going to be organization and prioritization. Try saying that 5 times fast. This includes organizing activities, projects, school assignments, and also organizing cues, urgency, or importance. The third ingredient is tasks and goal setting. This is some sort of tracking system, usually daily, weekly, or monthly, to reach short-term and/or long-term goals. After tasks and goal setting, we have journaling, memory keeping / comment placing / reflection. I'm sure there's something I've missed, but those are kind of the most common. But this is mainly where we just reflect. We have an outlet for personal wants and needs, tracking and adjusting tool. This can also be used as important notes or things we want to recognize and come back to. And then finally, we have note taking, which is pretty self-explanatory, but this is where you would jot down thoughts, notes, ideas, important information, and/or brainstorming. These are our 5 main ingredients when it comes to planning and making our kind of planner pie. And these can vary person to person. These are just kind of the 5 main goals for planning and why people choose to use a planner. This is going to be very unique to you, and you may have something that is not on this list. So if there is a specific function you use your planner for that I did not mention, feel free to list it yourself when you do this activity. Now that we have defined these, we're going to start with step number 1, which is ranking these from most important to least important based on your current wants and needs for your book. By ranking them, we're going to see what we need to prioritize. And if you already have a pretty good system, you could rank these by their usage and frequency. So daily practices would be ranked at the top, and maybe weekly and monthly practices would be ranked towards the middle and bottom. You have routines you're practicing daily. Those are probably going to be more important because you're investing more time and energy into those versus your weekly or monthly routine. If you are new to planning and aren't sure, rank them by what problems you want your planner to solve for you. What was the main motivation when you purchased your book? Was it to start journaling more? Was it to remember important dates or appointments? To help with school? Use your initial motivations as a guide if you're new and what is most important for you functionally in this book. So we will use me as an example. If I were to rank these 5 functions, these 5 planner functions from most important to least important in my book, I would rank number 1 as my number 1, number 4 as my number 2, number 3 as my 3, number 5, and number 2 last. Scheduling and time management is one of the most important functions in my planner. And number 2, organization Organization and prioritization is the least important for me in my book. So I have ranked these from most important to least important. We want this ranking to be a little bit more detailed. So after we have gathered and ranked our ingredients, step number 2 is going to be measuring them out. So to do this, we are going to draw a pie chart. Oh, that is not a good circle. You're going to work your way from top to bottom. So starting with your number 1 routine, how much of this specific category do you want and need in your planner pie? For me, scheduling and time management is something I refer to in my book on a daily basis, often multiple times per day. So that's going to take up a pretty big chunk of this circle. So I'm going to say that number 1 probably takes up about 25 of my routine. So I'm just gonna say number 1 is about 25%, and you can write the percents next to the numbers too if that helps. For number 2, use reflection a lot in my book. I am always journaling, so I'm also gonna give that a 25%. Tasks and goal setting, give this 20%. Number 5, note taking. I do take a lot of notes more frequently. I didn't used to, but I have been taking a lot of notes lately. That one is also gonna be 20%. Lastly, number 2 is gonna be 10%. You obviously want your pie to add up to 100%. Did I do that right? 50, 40, yes, okay, 100. Math is not my strong suit. This may take a little finessing. I think when I initially did this, I tweaked my numbers a couple times. If you're new to planning, just measure these out by their importance to you. For example, if you need to take notes every day for school, that's probably gonna rank pretty high on your list compared to something like memory keeping. Once you have all your ingredients measured out, we can now see what our main focuses are and what practices we want to prioritize to get the most out of our book. Step number 3 is just we're gonna bake our pie and put it into practice. So rankings a lot of the time correlate with frequency, so if you need somewhere to start, I would recommend using your rankings. Routines that you ranked 1 through number 2, I would prioritize these daily. Or rankings 3 through 4, I would do this weekly. And your very last ranking, I would do weekly or as needed. Okay, this is editing Tori, and I just needed to hop on because I did not explain that as well as I was hoping to, but the main purpose of giving you guys kind of that frequency chart is mainly for people who are beginners or people who feel overwhelmed and don't know where to start. If you're someone like me who's been using planners for a while, you may be able to do all 5 planner functions daily and kind of have your own routine. But if you are someone who doesn't have a set planner routine and you don't know what areas of your planner you need to work on or prioritize, that was just a general guideline. So your number 1 and your number 2 ranked functions would be what you would prioritize. 3 and 4 would be ones that you focus on but you don't prioritize as much, and then 5, your last one, you would use as needed. I hope that makes more sense. Sorry if I didn't explain that well enough the first time. So for example, if I have identified that scheduling and time management is my most important function of my planner and it's something that I need to prioritize, that is a function that I want to practice daily. Compared to number 2, organization and prioritization, that is something that I have viewed as not as important in my book. So that is something that I will only reference in my book weekly or as needed. I hope those ranges kind of make sense, and the guide in my description box explains it a little bit better. But the purpose of this is to be able to see our practices visually and prioritize them strategically so we don't get overwhelmed and burnt out. This is definitely a fluid process. These rankings can change based on your needs too. So if your planner system isn't working for you anymore, this can be a good guide to kind of show you where you need to be or what you need to be focusing on. And the main purpose of this is just because for a lot of us, especially when you're new to planner or the planner community, when you open up to some of these layouts, it can be very daunting and you don't really know what to do with this. And so a big part of it is just going back to the basics and reflecting on why you actually purchased the book and what your main goal for your book is. And so this method really helps prioritize those and shows us what we need to focus on versus the practices that maybe not be as helpful. Wanting some extra tips or resources on how to tailor your system a little bit more in depth, I will link my foundations video, which is super helpful, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.